Hola, bienvenidos al podcast de los pronombres relativos en español. Welcome, I'm Señora Stanias. We will be talking about relative pronouns in Spanish. We are going to be looking at the relative pronouns que and cual, as well as their use with definite articles. We'll also be looking at quién and quiénes, and finally the relative adjective cuyo. Relative pronouns are used in English as well as Spanish to connect shorter sentences or clauses in order to create longer, smoother, more complex sentences. Unlike the interrogative words in Spanish, que, quién, and cuál, relative pronouns in Spanish never have a written accent mark. We're going to start with the relative pronoun que. Que is the most frequently used relative pronoun in Spanish. It can mean in English that, which, or who, depending upon context. Que can refer to people or things, subjects or objects, and it can be used in both restrictive and non-restrictive clauses. Restrictive clauses do not carry a comma when they combine the two sentences or clauses, whereas non-restrictive clauses do require a written comma. Note that in English we can sometimes omit that relative pronoun when we're speaking or writing, but they must always be used in Spanish, both written and spoken. An example, el reportaje que vi ayer me hizo cambiar de opinión. I can say the report I saw last night made me change my opinion, or the report that I saw last night made me change my opinion. There's no change in meaning in English, but again, que must be written in Spanish for this to be correct. Otro ejemplo, las primeras 10 personas que responden correctamente ganarán una suscripción gratuita. Y finalmente, el desastre fue causado por la lluvia, que ha durado más de 2 semanas. This is que without the definite article, but now we will look at que with a definite article. And you can see we can be el que, la que, los que, or las que. So after prepositions, we have to use que with a definite article. The article must agree in gender and number with the thing or the person it refers to. Here's an example. Hablé con los empleados de la compañía, los que están contaminando el río. As opposed to, hablé con los empleados de la compañía, la que está contaminando el río. Notice in the first one, I'm referring to the empleados, los que, whereas in the second example, I'm actually referring to la compañía, la que. In short sentences, like the one you see here, when it is referring to things, not people, the article may be omitted after the short prepositions such as en, as you see here, de, and also con. El edificio en el que viven es viejo. You can also say el edificio en que viven es viejo. We're going to move on to el cual and their constructions. Please note that el cual and all of these other constructions is generally interchangeable with el que. So it can be used in the same situations after prepositions. However, we do use this particular construction more often in formal speech or in formal writing. When we do use el cual or any of these forms, we may never omit the definite article, even in short sentences, whereas you can with the el que construction. A couple of examples. La revista para la cual trabajo es muy influyente. El edificio en el cual se encuentra la emisora de radio es viejo. Now we're going to look at quién and quiénes. Obviously, quién is singular, quiénes is plural, and they are used to refer only to people, never to things. We can generally interchange quién and quiénes with either el que and el cual, again, only when referring to people. And we can use this construction also in non-restrictive clauses, again, when referring to people. Un ejemplo. Juan y María, quienes trabajan conmigo, escriben la sección deportiva. We will use que in restrictive clauses that refer to people but have no preposition. La gente que mira televisión está harta de las cadenas sensacionalistas. However, we can use quien, el que, or el cual in restrictive clauses that refer to people and have a preposition or have that personal a. So we have a choice under these conditions. I can say, esperamos la respuesta de los políticos a quienes queremos entrevistar, or esperamos la respuesta de los políticos a los que queremos entrevistar, or esperamos la respuesta de los políticos a los cuales queremos entrevistar. All three of those choices are correct. We're going to look now at cuyo. Cuyo is actually a relative adjective, and it means whose in English, and it has to agree in gender and number with the noun that it precedes. So there are cuyo, cuya, cuyos, and cuyas. Please remember, however, that we have to use de quien if we are actually asking a question and not saying, not using it as a statement. So if I want to say whose books are these, I have to use de quien son los libros. A couple of examples. El equipo periodístico cuyo proyecto aprobaron viajará en febrero. La fotógrafa Daniela Pérez, cuyas fotos anteriores ganaron muchos premios, los acompañará. This concludes this podcast. So, por favor, look at the Google Docs below. Please write your summary. Please also write 3 original sentences, not some of the examples I've given you, that show that you can use or you are beginning to understand how to use these relative pronouns correctly. And if you do have any questions or doubts, please also include those. Muchas gracias y hasta mañana.